What's up, Vault Dwellers? Dan here, and we're back for part 2 of our Atomic Age cinema series. And this time, we've got giants fighters, underground expeditions, and Mickey Rooney surviving a nuclear blast with peanut butter sandwiches. Let's get started.
I am not an inhabitant of your planet. I have come from another planet. A planet you call Venus.
All right, let's address the flying saucer in the room here. Stranger from Venus is basically the day the Earth stood still, but with a British accent and in just no budget. They even got Patricia Neal back, playing essentially the same role she played 3 years earlier. And that takes some serious nerve, right? All right, a humanoid alien lands in the English countryside, not Washington, D.C., because, they couldn't afford Washington, D.C., with a dire warning about humanity's nuclear foolishness.
The peaceful use of atomic energy foretells great progress for our societies.
I am not advocating abandonment of these powers, only the cautious handling of them.
Helmut Dantine plays the titular stranger as a polite, slightly melancholy visitor who can read minds, has no pulse, and just really wishes we'd stop blowing things up. Most of the movie takes place in a country inn, which is the British B-movie equivalent of setting your entire film in someone's living room.
Tom, I'd like to request the completely private use of this room, if I may.
I should consider it an honor. Would you like me to arrange some tables and chairs for you?
Please do.
Is it derivative? Yeah, absolutely. Is it cheap? You bet it is. But there's something charming about watching Patricia Neal sell the exact same premise twice in 3 years. And the ending, and where the alien simply just fades away after humanity proves unworthy of his wisdom, it has a quiet sadness that almost earns the ripoff. I mean, almost.
The distance for communication stolen.
The movie Unknown World asked the question that was probably on everyone's mind back in 1951. If we nuke ourselves into oblivion, where the hell do we all hide? The answer? Well, according to this movie, it's straight down. A group of scientists, convinced nuclear war is inevitable, build something called the cyclotram. Basically, it's an atomic-powered drill which seats 6, and then burrows into an extinct volcano to find humanity's underground lifeboat.
Brother, it's really black out there.
What follows is basically a journey to the center of the Earth on a shoestring budget. Well, and minus the dinosaurs. Here's the thing. The movie is slow, like really, really slow. The cyclotram crawls through cave after cave while the characters argue about whether humanity deserves to survive even at all. But there is something, melancholy about this thing. When they finally find the underground paradise, it's complete with underground ocean and glowing phosphorescent ceilings. Discovery that nothing can reproduce down here is harder than you'd expect from a B-movie.
We can build a new life right here.
You mean this is what we're looking for?
You'll get used to it.
Who wants to get used to it?
Shot partially in Carlsbad Caverns, it's atmospheric in a way that transcends its budget. It's not fun, but it is surprisingly haunting.
Go ahead. Enjoy yourself. It doesn't cost a cent.
Stop it!
Eddie!
You control your whole operation by electricity. Of course, no generators. That means you're getting your power from somewhere on the surface. It must be passing through here.
You have heard enough, Dr. Martin. Step inside.
I love talking about this movie. So you know how Billy Wilder directed Some Like It Hot and Sunset Boulevard? Well, his brother, W. Lee Wilder, he got to direct Killers from Space. Sometimes Hollywood just isn't fair. Peter Graves plays a nuclear scientist who survives a plane crash and returns with a mysterious scar on his chest, and just no memory of what even happened. Turns out he was abducted by aliens from the planet Astron Delta, and they're breeding giant insects using radiation from our own bomb tests to prepare for an invasion.
Yours is the only planet in this solar system capable of supporting our civilization.
This is fantastic. Over 1 billion of you trying to come here to Earth.
The aliens themselves, they've got these bulging eyes made from what appears to be, I guess, cut up egg cartons, bushy eyebrows, and they're wearing black pajamas for their space outfits. They're supposed to be terrifying. They are not terrifying. The movie's most notable for like 2 things. It predicted several tropes of alien abduction stories that wouldn't become popular until like decades later. You know, medical experiments, memory loss, creepy big-eyed aliens, and those giant insects. 10 minutes of Peter Graves pretending to run through caves while footage of regular-sized bugs plays on a screen behind him. It's just beautiful in its awfulness. This is exactly the kind of film that Mystery Science Theater 3000 was invented to do.
What have you got to do with that?
We are accumulating the energy released with each of your atomic explosions.
So only in the 1950s could someone make a comedy about surviving a nuclear blast. Mickey Rooney, he stars as Blix Waterbury, and he's a uranium prospector who wanders into an atomic test site, finds a house full of mannequins, makes himself a peanut butter sandwich, and then rides out in an actual nuclear detonation. He survives, glows in the dark, and becomes a minor celebrity while Soviet spies try to figure out his secret. The script was written by Blake Edwards, you know, the Pink Panther guy, and it shows in the manic energy. Rooney mugs shamelessly, and his real-life wife, Elaine, plays his love interest. And the whole thing just treats nuclear annihilation like a setup for a comedy routine.
New York, at the United Nations General Assembly today, the Russian delegate announced to the world that his country has invented its own Blix Waterbury. And now we'll take you to London.
Is it in poor taste? Yeah, probably is. Is it funny? I'd say occasionally. What it does do is capture a moment when Americans were still trying to convince themselves that atomic energy, it's no big deal. You know, duck and cover, eat some peanut butter, you'll be fine. Hey, bonus points if you know what famous movie this was featured on during an important scene or two. Let me know in the comments if you can guess it. The movie 5 might be the first American film to seriously imagine life after the nuclear war. And it's not interested in giant monsters or alien saviors. It's just 5 people. You have a pregnant woman, a philosopher, a black bank clerk, an elderly banker in denial, and a European mountaineer with some very troubling opinions. And they're just trying to figure out how to survive in a world that's suddenly empty. This was shot for about $75,000 in the director's actual Frank Lloyd Wright house.
I'd like to go places tonight and have a big time. Order a double-decker hamburger with onions, a side order of French fries, and a double chocolate malt.
Spare ribs. Barbecued spare ribs.
And the film is almost unbearably intimate. There's no explosions, no military heroes, no last-minute saves, just people wandering through abandoned towns finding skeletons in cars, and then slowly turning on each other. The European survivor turns out to be a racist who can barely stand sharing space with the black character. And the film, it doesn't flinch from where that conflict goes. It's talky and slow and occasionally preachy in that early 50s way.
Let's not make the mistakes they did, the millions of them. Let's not be at each other's throats. Let's work together, live together, like friends.
But the sequence where two characters walk through a dead city, buildings intact and bodies everywhere, it's super chilling. 5 asked the question none of the monster movies wanted to touch. What if we really did it? What if we actually ended the world? And what kind of people would be left?
I had enough of this interference.
Where have I interfered with you?
That is the question. Your very presence is distasteful to me. But I must eat with you, sleep under the same roof with you.
In The Amazing Colossal Man, Lieutenant Colonel Glenn Nanning, he's caught in a plutonium bomb test, and he should be dead. But instead, he survives and just starts growing 10 feet, 20 feet, 50 feet. I mean, even his heart can't keep up with his body. And his mind, it just starts to go. And there's just nothing anyone can do to stop it. What elevates The Amazing Colossal Man beyond typical B-movie schlock is that it's actually a really sad movie.
I don't want to grow anymore!
Manning isn't a monster. He's a victim. He didn't ask for this. He was just a soldier doing his job. And now he's watching himself become something like inhuman. Sure, I mean, the effects, they're wobbly. Gordon's rear projection giants never quite convince. But the atomic age anxiety here is raw and it's personal. The bomb didn't create a monster. It created a tragedy.
Wait a minute. Here he is! A 60-foot giant in the streets of Las Vegas. Look at the size of that man.
Manning's rampage through Las Vegas and his final confrontation at Boulder Dam became iconic images of 1950s sci-fi. Gordon even made a sequel, War of the Colossal Beast, but nothing really matched the strange, melancholy power of watching a good man lose everything to radiation, 1 foot at a time. This is atomic horror at its most intimate. It's not the end of the world, just the end of one man, and somehow, that's a lot worse.
I'm not growing. You're shrinking.
If the movie Them is the Citizen Kane of giant bug movies, well, the beginning of the end is, it's the one where grasshoppers crawl on photographs of buildings and the director just hopes you won't notice. Peter Graves, he plays an entomologist whose government-funded experiments with radiation-enhanced crops, it goes a little bit wrong. So the locusts eat the irradiated vegetables, then they grow to the size of buses, start marching their way towards Chicago. The military throws just everything at them and nothing works. The generals want to nuke the city, and Graves, he has a better idea involving sound frequencies and Lake Michigan.
I need an audio oscillator. I need an audio two audio amplifiers, the most powerful you can get. I need an oscilloscope. I need some high-frequency radio equipment. And a boat, a fast boat.
Well, here's the thing about director Bert I. Gordon, affectionately known as Mr. B.I.G. He made giant monster movies on budgets that wouldn't even cover the craft services on a real production. He started with 200 grasshoppers from Texas, but by the time he got around to filming, they'd eaten each other and there were only like 12 left. And he couldn't afford miniatures, so he just literally photographed grasshoppers crawling on postcards of the Wrigley Building. And when they needed to show the bugs dying, He just tilted the photo and let him slide right off. The movie's terrible, right? And the effects are laughable. But yet there's just something just weirdly compelling about watching everyone play it completely straight while transparent grasshoppers ghost their way through Chicago. This is atomic age anxiety on a shoestring, and it's exactly the kind of gloriously earnest schlock that made the 1950s sci-fi so damn lovable. After the beast from 20,000 Fathoms proved you could make money with a giant stop-motion monster, producer Charles Schneer and effects wizard Ray Harryhausen, they teamed up for this one, and they created a giant octopus that was blasted by hydrogen bomb tests. It rises from the depths to terrorize San Francisco. And here's a fun piece of trivia for you. The octopus, it only had 6 tentacles. Because of budget constraints, Harryhausen couldn't afford to animate all 8. So he worked around it, and fans, they lovingly call this the sextopus. He made that thing work. You have a Navy commander, there's a Navy scientist, a love triangle, and lots of people in uniforms pointing at maps. Kenneth Tobey does his, square-jawed hero thing, but really, nobody's watching for the humans. And they're watching for Harryhausen's monster to attack the Golden Gate Bridge, wrapping its tentacles around support cables and dragging itself onto land. Those sequences, they still hold up today. The textures, the weight, and the way the creature interacts with the environment, it's craft that modern CGI, it just struggles to match. Is this movie slow when the octopus isn't on screen? Yeah, it is. It's slow. But when it is on, it is just magic. This is Jack Arnold's second entry on the list, and maybe it's the definitive giant bug movie of the 50s. Wait a minute. Tarantulas aren't bugs, they're arachnids, so I guess them is still king. Anyways, Tarantula is a close second, mostly because they use an actual tarantula instead of puppets, and the results are so freaking creepy. Leo G. Carroll plays a scientist trying to solve world hunger by creating a growth serum using radioactive isotopes. It works great on lab animals, less great on humans, who die horribly. And when a lab assistant releases a tarantula that's been fed the serum into the Arizona desert, things escalate quickly.
Lost. All lost. What about the tarantula? Burned. All burned.
The effects work here is just remarkable. The director of photography, Clifford Stein, he composited footage of a real tarantula against desert landscapes. And the illusion is just so convincing. There's a shot of the spider cresting a hill, silhouetted against the sky. It's like as iconic as anything from the 1950s. And the finale, with the spider bearing down on a small town before being napalmed by the Air Force, that one features an uncredited Clint Eastwood as the squadron leader. All right, we're on to number 1, but before we get there, let me know in the comments what's your favorite giant monster movie from the 1950s. And Godzilla doesn't count, because that's like cheating. Give me your deep cuts.
Experimental research is always confidential, be it here or anywhere else.
You didn't tell me it was confidential.
I didn't think I'd need to.
The background level of radiation in this very room is 9 times what it was a year ago. Don't you know that? 9 times. We're all doomed, you know.
If 5 asked the question, what if we ended the world with a low-budget indie film, On the Beach, it asked the same question, but gave us Gregory Peck, Ava Gardner, Fred Astaire, and a $2.9 million budget. And somehow, this thing is just way more devastating.
There is hope. There has to be hope. There's always hope. We just can't go on like this. We can't.
It's 1964. World War III, it's already happened. The Northern Hemisphere, it's dead. Everyone, everywhere, just dead. And the only people left alive, they're in Australia. And they're not survivors. They're just what's next. There's a radiation cloud that's drifting south. And when it arrives, like, that's it. Game over for humanity.
What's the effect?
Lethargy, some euphoria, coma, then nothing. In fairly rapid order.
The film follows an American submarine captain, an alcoholic socialite, a guilt-ridden scientist, Fred Astaire in his first non-musical dramatic role, and a young Navy officer, Anthony Perkins. And they're just trying to figure out how do they spend their last months alive. The director doesn't give you explosions or monsters. He gives you people attending parties, going to work, and falling in love, all while knowing it's just pointless.
When the dentist is drilling your tooth, what do you think about? The nicest thing? Sex or what?
Fishing. Trout fishing in a clean mountain stream.
You would.
The Australian government, they hand out suicide pills. And parents, they discuss how to euthanize their children when the time comes. And through it all, Waltzing Matilda plays like a funeral song. On the Beach closed up in 1950s by looking the bomb directly in the face and refusing to flinch. There's no giant ants, no last-minute saves, just the quiet, terrible end of everything. It's not a fun movie to watch, but it might be the most important atomic age film ever made. The 1950s were just absolutely obsessed with the bomb. And honestly, can you really blame them? They had just seen what it could do, and they were living under its shadow every day. Movies were how they processed the unthinkable without going insane. If you missed part 1, you need to go check it out. We covered like Godzilla, Them, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and a ton more. Keep it weird, folks.
Good evening, sir. My name is Stan. Wait a minute.
He kissed me.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
It seems like a normal reaction.
He didn't even ask me.
That's hardly relevant.